Every time the economy goes bad, war starts.
Do you think it's going to happen again?
We're already in it. The bankers control the world. Like it or not, they control the world.
And they still do.
Yes, exactly. Because you would know that more than anybody.
And when you try to take them on, you might get a little bit of, you might get a bit of their territory. You might actually get a bit of their market share. But eventually, over time, they change the rules that we all abide by, but they change the rules against you. And eventually they now control the market again here in Australia. And by the way, the GFC was the greatest opportunity for them to take control back again.
They did.
And in Australia, COVID recently, or the so-called COVID or pandemic, whatever you want to call it, the flu, it gave, crazily enough, this is so crazy. You wouldn't think this would happen, but somehow our big banks in Australia took a greater control of the Australian lending market than they have had in the last 40 years because of COVID. Because the government gave them a whole lot of money on the premise that we need to give banks money to kickstart Australia again in the construction and lending environments. We live off construction in this country, housing construction, and we'll give it to you at 0.1% for 3 years fixed, 200 billion, and go lend it. And they lend it at 2%, record low rates. And that gave banks market share. They took control of the market again, which is quite interesting. Banks are smarter than everyone gives them credit for. They have smarter people than everyone gives them credit for. Your rich dad, poor dad, is it an education attempt by you to educate people? Stuff they don't learn at school?
My poor dad was head of education for the state of Hawaii. Very smart man, good man, big-hearted. But when I read Communist Manifesto in '65, I went, he's a Marxist. You know, abolition of private property, hated the rich, liked taxes, labor unions. And that's a free country. You can think what you want. And my rich dad was my best friend's father, capitalist. And so I had both capitalist education and a Marxist education. So I went to military school to learn all this, you know. I flew for the U.S. Marine Corps in Vietnam. And we killed a lot of communists out there. It was sad. So my concern is, as you know, America's going to war again. Because every time the economy goes bad, war starts. So that's what brought Hitler to power back in the early years, you know.
But do you think it's going to happen again?
We're already in it.
So can we explore it a bit? Because that's a bit fascinating to me. I mean, by the way, it's something that I'm concerned about. Because when things are going bad for a political movement, let's start a war.
Yes.
Putin's a good example.
And you can print more money. There are